Pardon me? No.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Voice of Wisdom. With over 60 years of experience as an investment banker, investment analyst, economist, and venture capitalist, Morty Davis is Wall Street and capitalism personified. The over 400 companies for which he has raised more than $3 billion over the years have created a countless number of jobs and exciting new products. Through the voice of wisdom, Mr. Davis explores, analyzes, and debates the most topical political, economic, and social issues in our world today. Please join the debate by calling 332-3300. That's 33300. And now, Mr. Davis.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. It's great to be with my friends and talk show. Those that agree with me and those that disagree with me, especially like those that I love the ones that agree with me, but I especially like the ones that disagree with me because then I learn something, and that's the best thing. It's podcast. So anyway, I decided, even though we've badgered this subject in the last few weeks, three the because our lives every single day is somewhat just a few weeks, but it doesn't get away from us. And it's frightening to see the parents and the two, teachers, beautiful young teachers that were blown, hit with the military weapons. They are 15 that not only shoot about 100 bullets a minute, which are meant primarily for the military and not for use by the general public, and they employ bullets, but it shouldn't be called bullets because they explode within the body of the person that's hit, and as a consequence, they could any of the bodies in Uvalde, the little kids that were blown up. They had to do DNA tests. It's so heartbreaking. Today there was Congress was going through this whole episode by inviting parents of the children that were lost, and it's just ridiculous. As a country, tolerate and watch it happen again and again and again without doing anything at all. There's no reason that anybody could make a case for having military weapons, like AR-15s, massive shooting weapons, 100 bullets a minute. If anybody has a good case for those, I'd like to hear it. But I've never found any available to the general public, except for that are earned by the gun manufacturers. Those weapons are the most profitable part of their business. And million and some as many as 20 million out there in the public. So, I think that's unbelievable as that you can, anybody can walk into a gun store and buy a weapon and get 3 days later because you have to wait. They don't get the answer. They deliver the weapon anyway. So why is it so urgent for somebody to get it promptly, as they did recently in the shootings in Uvalde? I think he bought it the same day he got it. So there's so much profit in guns, and the retailers are eager to deliver them, and the National Rifle Association which really represents the gun manufacturers and profits, is on the background checks at gun shows, which more than 50 a year, more than a week, and if you from somebody on the street or a friend comes in and buy it, they don't even do it. A gun a resource check on you. And the role of our government is to protect our citizens from from the. I don't know if you realize it, but in the last 6 months, 5 months plus, there have been about 150 days. There have been 250 multiple massive slaughters of innocent and school children and churchgoers and people shopping at a grocery. So we should all get up and scream our heads off, and not only the people that lost children. Oh, let me take Hushang Ansari and then Brett Kingston next. Hushang, how are you? Hello, Hushang.
Hi, Morty, my dear friend, a wonderful leader, one who has dedicated his life to the well-being of the younger generation, the generation in the middle and the older generation, and never stops. The wisdom that you bring to this program in the best interest of the public is absolutely great.
Coming from State Ambassador Hushang Ansari, I couldn't be more pleased to hear from you and get that nice endorsement. Ambassador Ansari is one of the most brilliant people. I wish the government would recruit him and take his advice, because he understands the world better than anybody else. He's been to every country. He's been influential in Iran and Russia and the countries that we have poor communications with. Genius and a great American.
That's very good. We're all here to listen to your words of wisdom.
And calling and keep listening. I love you.
And much love here. Good luck.
Thank you. Have a great day and a great week. Brett Kingston, you're on. Brett?
Hello, Morty.
Hello. I apologize for the raucous that occurred between you and I last
No,
time.
no apology.
I should apologize because there's no reason for me not to listen to
I
you.
apologize.
No, I should listen more carefully to you. It's just that this subject is so emotional for me. I just can't understand why a country like America, the greatest country in the world, allows people to die unlike any other country in the world. You know, any event, there's no
Well,
event.
you're right.
We lose for 100,000, 2.1, Germany 0.9, Spain 0.6. And nobody. Police, and you should interpret it just as it's written. Say that's irrelevant, or that it says every American is entitled to hold obviously a very strong advocate for universal.
Well, absolutely, Morty. But first, let me tell you that the U.S. is the greatest country in the world because we're a free capitalist, independent, where we've got the hardest working people, the most dedicated people, and quite frankly, because we have the strongest and their flag and defend. And we've seen what happened in Ukraine. Countries, including Georgia, prior to that, that having to provide for the common defense, the words of our Constitution still stated when they wrote the scripts. I have more questions and to ask with you because I want to hear your.
You thought this is a Passover set? What question?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. You're brilliant. I always like to listen to you. So go ahead.
Let me compliment you first on that long, wonderful relationship you had with Dushang Ansari, who was a great during the Shah's time before the revolution. And I know a nefarious person. I was fortunate enough after you took my company Supervision public on the Nasdaq Stock Exchange, Dushang, nice restaurant in New York. I remember I was so clumsy I knocked over my orange juice all over the table. And Dushang.
You always make an impact.
Very gracious, and he still is as gracious and kind as he is. And Morty, you deserved all of the accolades, and I want to just send out a message of respect and admiration to Dushang Ansari.
Well, you always say that people remember you. It's so many years that they forget it quickly. You leave it. Go ahead. The more questions.
So here's my four. Here's the show and several years that kill 4 times as many people as guns. And in fact, in schools, stabbings far outnumber shootings by almost 10 to 1. So my question to you, Morty, is we're really going to go down this path. Should we be outlawing knives?
You want me to answer now, or you want to do all 4 questions first?
No, one at a time. So
Okay,
we don't forget.
I'll tell you one thing. No, I don't know, I haven't looked up the statistics on lives. Lives
I sent you the link.
versus
I
lives.
sent
No, but
you the link.
lives,
You have them. I emailed them to you.
the knives can kill, can overcome somebody with a knife. They can't overcome somebody with an assault weapon or even a regular gun, because they find that any person, the NRA says, a good man, a good person with a gun is the best way to a bad person with a gun. That's absolute nonsense, because the minute you take out a gun, and when you're confronted with somebody that's attacking you or attacking you with a gun specifically, not attacking you with a gun, once you pull out a gun, you are getting killed by many, many times. And even if you have a gun, even the police who are trained, well trained, hardly ever hit the target. So it doesn't save you. It gives you the greater chance of being slaughtered. If somebody comes into my house, something from me, rob me, whatever, even the worst thing you want to do, I still wouldn't pull out a gun, because if I pull out a gun, I increase my chances of getting killed many, many times. So I just roll over, do whatever he says, and hope that he gets out of my house real quick. So I don't know if that helps you. But in Japan, somebody attacked a knife on and he was successful, and he killed one person, and wounded another. So knives don't kill the way guns do. You know that. Anybody else? Our military, I wish we'd stop things that don't kill us. When you're not likely to get killed by terrorists or a foreign. You can't do that. We don't attack the country. With Pearl Harbor was not even part of the domestic United States, and sadly, we're spending $750 billion this year on armaments, on military equipment. We already spent about half of all the money spent on military equipment. We spend more than the combination of the next 15 biggest countries. So we spend way too much on armament, and it doesn't protect us, because what we need to be protected, I guarantee you, I'll write insurance for you against the terrorists killing you. But that $750 billion for is on cancer. That's going to kill every congressman and his children, on heart disease, on Alzheimer's, on Parkinson's. So what the hell are we spending it for? And not only that, we're the most militant country in the world as a result of that. No other country has indulged in as many wars as we have without being attacked. We attacked North Korea. We don't even. Did you ever hear the Monroe Doctrine? The Monroe Doctrine advocated that we stick to North and South America. That's our immediate concern. And every country in the world and try to introduce democracy or every civil war. That's not our business. If they attack us, if there's something that, and you talk about Ukraine, you know what? Before this war started, he said, if you guarantee you won't take Ukraine into NATO, I won't launch a war. So did they give him a chance? Did we try that? We'd say, okay, we're not going to attack it's not like we need that, what do you call it, in Ukraine, in NATO. It's that happen to be the most belligerent country in the world. It's outrageous. We think of the war in North Korea. We went to war in Vietnam. I don't know why we got involved in Vietnam, do you? We went against Iraq. We went to war against Afghanistan. Yes, they did. They did, yes. Because they hosted Osama bin but we should Osama bin Laden, not we lost 3,000. That was terrible. And it was should go after whoever was responsible aggressively. But we went to war in Afghanistan, and after 20 years, having spent vast treasure and thousands and tens of thousands of lives, of American lives, of young, precious young people, and thousands and tens of thousands of Afghans. If Biden was smart, he would for leading Afghanistan, he would say from Bush declared victory. If you remember, that we beat one country, I forget if it was Afghanistan or Iraq, but we were there for many, many years. And so what have we gotten out of all these, you say, oh, it's great, we're the strongest military. Wipe out the things that are going to kill congressman and senator and even I lost a child early on. It's so to this. Okay, I don't want to filibuster, but I hope you get the point.
I'm just saying something that sometimes the strongest military is a deterrent to war, but I do so we get and maybe instead of a situation we should have just taken out Osama bin Laden. Let's call.
But has it deterred us from wars? We've been in more wars in the world.
Go ahead, I can hear you, yes?
The wonder was just when we attacked at Pearl Harbor, we did the right thing. And not only that, as you well know, or maybe you don't, well, our own guy to run the country for 8 years in each case before elections. In each of these countries, right away, we appointed somebody at the country, and then we had to beg the guy, the president of Afghanistan and of Iraq, don't.
Right. So, Morty, I'll make this my last
go,
question.
let's hear the other. Go ahead.
Yes.
Rachel, just 1 second. I spent a couple of minutes and I did phone.
No, that's okay. I want to, Anna, I want to come. Anna, I want Brett to continue,
All right,
please.
so Morty, my second question is, I know you're tied up for time. I'm glad they have the email. Thank you.
That's
for
okay.
letting us know about
I'll
that.
extend the time for
Morty,
good people like you.
My second question is, after the shootings in the synagogue of Poway in Pittsburgh, I started my pistol synagogue on Shabbos, and I carried my AR-15 on Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, and I had 2 rangers patrolling the exterior of the synagogue in Orlando, Florida, with this on here in with Rabbi Weinstein. You said earlier, should I stop carrying my weapon in synagogue? My congregation, do you feel that's wrong?
Yes, you should stop taking it. People in the process were killed. There was a Muslim officer at Fort, I forget the name of the Fort Briggs or Fort. Anyway, he killed
Fort Bragg.
some.
Fort Bragg, yes.
What?
It was Fort Bragg.
Bragg.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So They had more weapons around them than you'll ever have. Everybody there had a weapon. And he killed like 7 American officers, getting a response, and also at the schools recently. All schools, Florida, in what is it called? Udalva. That office is all over the place.
Right.
So, and giving guns to officers, teachers is ridiculous. Can't even get. I can't even get pencils. I can't even get pencils and books for my kids. They're gonna get me a gun. That's outrageous. Take the guns off. I'm sorry that they ever wrote it. At least if they wrote it, they should have wrote it more clearly instead of. Usually write extra words. They didn't have to preface it with a well-armed militia. They could have said Americans are entitled to have guns. This, we beat the British with muskets. We had, they thought about that we'd have guns like we have, they would have never written this. Because at that time, you could open government with muskets. Today, even with you having multiple weapons, you can overthrow the government because the United States government has tanks and planes and whatnot. So the best way to is to vote them out. We'll learn to without a president that he's not sending the government to someone else and insisting that he won.
Am I allowed the other two, or?
Yes, go ahead. No, I try to limit it to a half hour, but when it's somebody interesting like you and you have good questions, I'd stay on with you.
I'll just mention, you are aware of the fact that there was a armed parishioner who actually took down a shooter that probably saved dozens of the people in that church because he was armed and he was able to shoot and completely take out the shooter parishioners and would have shot maybe dozens more had they not had an armed parishioner in the church at that time. And the response time of the police at best at least 3 to 5 minutes from the time the call is entered, unless it's a nearby, and maybe it'll be 2 minutes. As you with the amount fired from a gun in just seconds, that means dozens of people can die before the police get there. So what are your thoughts about the situations where you do have armed parishioners in churches and synagogues that have demonstrated they can take safely without harming the other parishioners before he's able to shoot many other people?
Look, I don't question that from time to time somebody can save people, but overwhelmingly it works the other way. Somebody said in Colorado there were 40 people killed because the guy in the theater started shooting people. So they said, the NRA said, if everybody at the movie theater had a gun, kill the guy. Them hitting the guy with a zilch, they never know exactly who the guy was, and it would be like an old shootout. There would have been 400 killed instead of 40. So you woman was killed by 4 officers that were watching her apartment because her boyfriend was laying next to her. And innocently killed. She was just laying in bed. And many were really, why did they shoot somebody who's laying in bed? Well, they never would have if the first guy didn't shoot. So you set up a conflagration. There's no reason for everybody to have a gun. Look, let me point that. Canada at 2.1. Every country has, every advanced country. Why isn't it the role of the government to protect our citizenry from loss of life or your kids at school and so forth? And, if they come with a knife, somebody can overcome them and they'll kill one or two. Look, I understand your love for guns and it's unfortunately that's an American sickness. We have all the other countries put together.
All right. That brings me to the fourth question, which is to correct you on the last statement that Switzerland has the highest rate of gun, which does qualify as an advanced country. Switzerland themselves, as a percentage of the overall population, has a higher percentage rate of gun ownership than the United States. And by the way, every a male adult over a certain age is a member of, required to maintain and keep a gun in the house. And in fact, Switzerland hasn't had in 20 years. I sent you links to that as well. Your staff member has those published reports. It's not, perhaps it's a societal problem. The problem is the lack of discipline and the proper education, the permissive role. Just letting people after multiple offenses, not incarcerating a youth who've made published remarks on the internet, their classmates. Maybe we're not being proactive enough in the gun problem. The highest rate of guns in the world. Switzerland, and they are a very big country that hasn't had a mass shooting in years.
I want to agree with it. But I want to tell you, it's the most guns because every citizen has to serve in the guns. But it's not that they get it instantly. It's not that they aren't trained extensively, and there's no urgency to get it to do the kind of slaughters that we experience. So why don't we have a way? They say, well, we'll raise the age to 21. You know? It's also
I would agree with that.
No, as I'm saying,
I would
yeah, well,
agree with
trained.
that.
No, and also why don't they cut it out instead of saying you could get those cut it out, but or at least raise it to 25. Something more. People get older, they get more conservative and more stable. Young people have and also when you attempt suicide with anything but a gun, 90% of them fail. When they cut, 90% of them don't suicide of anybody. And Israel is a good example. If you try them, why do we treat automobiles worse? An automobile, you got driving lessons, you got to answer questions about pets and so forth. There's rules that come with it. So before you get a gun, you should buy it. And also, anybody that has a gun should have to buy insurance. That would discourage some people. And at least if they kill somebody with a gun, the person that loses his life or the family would get compensated. There's no compensation for a young child that gets killed. There's you can't give couldn't give me $1 trillion to allow one of my grandchildren to be killed. So there's ways to do it, as Israel does. I don't know, maybe Switzerland does something similar. I have to look into it. But we have the most killed Do you know that, or do you believe that?
I think the highest percentage of gun ownership per population, Switzerland, but it clearly has one of the largest numbers of weapons in private citizens' hands in the world. And I guess where we differ is important for our national defense. And I think in the right, it's not. But I think it's a problem. To make sure anyone who's had a felony background cannot buy a gun. That anyone has Baker acted or cannot have one, and anyone's made public threats on the internet. We need you, Morty. Criminals, vast majority of them don't buy guns through legal means. They buy them on the street, and no law in the world is going to keep them from getting those guns. And if you make a law that says you can buy guns through legal means, the only people will have criminals, Morty, and they'll continue to carry out their armed robberies and everything else that puts us at risk. So that's just a thought and something to be concerned about.
Brett, with all due respect, every country that has mass slaughter the way of the lives that we have almost every day, you know, more than 4 people shot, not necessarily killed, but shot. And none of them have the mass slaughter that we have. But the ones that had it, Australia, the minute they had it, they brought back all the guns. It takes a year to get a gun in Australia. New Zealand immediately cut it. No, brought in tons of guns. And England.
You're right.
All the other
3
countries.
months ago, and all my friends had their ARs taken from them. That's true. Everything you're saying is correct. Go ahead.
The Swiss have what?
This is the rate of gun ownership for Switzerland. This is the rate of gun ownership.
No, I'm not saying.
I agree with you, Morty. In Auckland and New Zealand, they banned assault weapons permanently. I was at my friend's house in Auckland 3 months ago. You're correct in what you're saying. Go ahead.
And the fourth question is.
I just want to end with my great respect and devotion to Marty. A great business leader. You've created probably over 1 million jobs for companies you've taken public. You've contributed to this nation and many charities. And even if we disagree on certain things, you have my. You're a wonderful human. Thank you.
Hello.
Yep.
Switzerland has 12 deaths per 100,000.
No, 7. US 12.
Switzerland has 7 deaths per 100,000. The European countries and all the advanced countries. And so they have.
Well, we
have
12 or 14 per 100,000. And also, there was, I love you. You're a fantastic guy. I know the wonderful support and the things you believe in are great. I have to tell you, this is what I wanted to say. It was a joke. Well, I can leave you with a joke. But at my age, you know, I'll tell you a good joke.
I don't remember where I put my car keys anymore.
I'll tell you a joke. I'll tell you a joke about memory. I was going to. Two old Jewish guys are walking along the street, and their wives are walking behind them. And one guy says to the other guy, he says, you know, look, I took my wife to a restaurant last night, and it was so fantastic. The steaks were big and flavored so good, and the vegetables were good, and the dessert out of this world, and the drinks get right to the top. It was so fabulous. So the second guy says to him, sounds great. What's the name of the restaurant? I'd like to take my wife to that restaurant. So he says, the name of the restaurant. What's the name of that flower? It's usually red on top and has stems. What's the name of that flower? So, so what does the other guy say to him, Brett? He says, you mean a rose. Rose. That's it, rose. Turns around, Rose, what restaurant we went to last night? Hello? Are you there?
Yeah.
You didn't get it?
Yeah, I'm there. Go ahead.
You didn't get the joke. You didn't get the joke?
In and out, boy. Rose. I got Rose.
No, he didn't even remember his wife's name. Then there's another guy's walking along.
Oh, God.
Another guy my age is walking along the street, and he sees a guy that he was right? He recognizes him because his face remained somewhat similar. So he walks up to him, and he doesn't want to embarrass him, so he doesn't, because he surely forgot my name. So he says, "My name is Morty Davis." I said, "Wow, you are. I remember your name."
You got time for one short joke? I'll give you a true story.
Yeah, it is.
Quick joke. So there was a guy who had a dog, and he didn't have any. He wanted to have to give the dog a bar mitzvah. So he walked in, saw a rabbi, and said, "Look, I want to get." And the rabbi looks at him. "How dare you?" He even suggested the thing. He says, "No, I don't have any kids. This is dogs my whole life. I really want to have a bar mitzvah." He says, "Oh, come on! I could never consider such a thing. It's outrageous." So he leash, and as he's walking away, he says, "Gee, what a shame! I was willing to pay $25,000 for bar mitzvah." And the rabbi runs after him and says, "Wait! Why didn't you tell me the dog was Jewish?"
That's true.
All right.
Okay, good to talk to you. All my, but and I love. Hey, a great week and a great life.
God bless you.